She is a master of disguise whose only claim to fame is that the lady remains sane. Please give a big warm welcome for Jawny.
How are we doing tonight? Good? Okay. So I'm going to buckle up myself a little bit, and I'll go ahead and give you guys a warning. You can buckle up for the story as well. All right. So this is a safe space. This is a safe space. Thank you guys so much for welcoming me back. All right. Okay, so I can be honest with you guys, right? I can be honest. So honestly, I am totally offended that my job, by definition, was odd. Totally offended. My life is to be an experience. I'm trying to have an experience. And when I was given that opportunity to have an odd job, I jumped at that opportunity. So it was after I graduated college. For about 6 years, I worked as a sales associate. Oh, okay. I need to tell you why the job was odd. Well, my place of employment, it was an adult novelty store. Yay, okay, so you guys understand me. So I have to ask you, was that really an odd job? You think it is? Okay. Yeah, have you ever worked at a sex store? No, you haven't, but I did. And I have for 6 years, and it was all a matter of chance, all by chance. So this was, like I said, right after college, and I was in that hustle mode, just, working, going home, and I'm trying to decide, where do I want to move for new opportunities? What do I want to do? And so it was one night on a weekday, kind of maybe a Tuesday. And my father's new girlfriend, she summons me to escort them to the sex store. I'm like, okay. So she comes at me and she's like, what are you doing? Like, what else are you doing tonight? You're too young to just be sitting in the house every night. Get out. So after a few minutes, I allowed her brutally honest words to coax me out of my shell. So we get in the car, we go to the sex store, and only I have to show my ID, right? Because I was the only one who still looked like I might be 18, maybe I'm not. So while I'm showing my ID, I noticed that there is a now hiring sign. Bless you. And they're looking for bartenders for daiquiri shops, and then they need sales associates for the sex stores. So I'm like, okay, well, with my work experience, I can definitely get on at the daiquiri shops. I'm totally down to be a bartender. And I had absolutely no interest in working at the sex store because I didn't know anything about those adult novelties. So I asked for an application, I fill it out, I turn it in, and a few days later, the hiring manager, she calls me, and she says, I would like to interview you to be a bartender, but the interview is going to be at a sex store. So I'm like, all right, I'm here to get the money. So I show up for the job interview, and as soon as I get there, she immediately informs me that with my consent, she's going to interview me for that sales associate position at the sex store. And so my mind, I'm like, hold up. Am I mature enough to work at a sex store? Right? I'm only 23 years old, and the only sex store that I have been to up until this point was Spencer's. Spencer's in the mall, right? And everything that I got from Spencer's, it went to trash. It went to trash after that one bad encounter because I didn't know what I was doing. So I'm like, I don't know. But I'm here for the money. So yeah, let's do this interview. So I do the interview, and I get the job. I get hired as a sales associate at a sex store. Right? So let's see, back in October of 2014, that is when I officially began working as a sales associate at an adult novelty store. And the company, they had several locations. The location that I worked at, it was their very first location, so there were absolutely no drinks in sight. It was strictly adult novelties. So you had the toys, you had the lingerie, you had the enhancement pills, magazines, and then one of my favorite aspects, videos. They had pornos. And a super cool fact about them having videos, about them selling videos, is in the early 2000s, now I started in 2014, in the early 2000s, they actually used to let the customers watch their movies in their own little private stalls. Yes, but they discontinued that because from what I heard, it got a little too sticky. A little too messy in those stalls. So they had to discontinue that, right? So my first day on the job, I come in and I greet my hiring manager. She introduces me to the owner, and they offer me, you know, like a soda or a water just to kind of shake off those nerves because I am nervous. And I'm like, no, I'm okay. You know, I could do this or whatever. So she takes me over and she's like, well, I'm going to show you your shift duties, and I don't want you to worry about anything because we have a really big shipment coming in later, and you're going to know about all of the products. So don't worry. So she's taking me through the list. She's showing me the shift duties. And she goes, okay, so now what we're going to do is I want you to become desensitized to the environment. So she suggests that I go onto the video floor with all the pornos, and I reorganize them. So I'm like, okay, I'll do this. So I got on that floor, and I kid you not, I was there for at least 2 hours. Why? Because I needed to read every movie cover, okay? Front to back, who's the director, who's the actors, what's the synopsis? I want to know. I'm getting desensitized here, right? So I do that, and that was fun. But my other daily duties, they were pretty normal. They consisted of me simply going outside, picking up the trash, cleaning up the bathrooms, dressing the mannequins, dusting the shelves that held the dildos, recharging the rechargeable products, and I also had to process customer returns. Yeah, a little strange, right? But hey, people bring back sex toys. Sometimes you have to do that. And so I actually had this one time where I had a customer bring back a toy in which it seemed like it had been used, right? So it kind of went like this. I sold the toy to her that morning. She was back that afternoon. And when she came back and she brought me the toy that wasn't working, there was, oh, okay. Yeah, it was like a crusted something on the toy. There was something there. And so I'm looking at her. She's looking at me. We're looking at each other. So I have to put on my gloves because I have to process this customer return. So I got my gloves on. Ma'am, did you use this before it stopped working? And she's looking at me. Oh, that residue, that's the dishwasher. That's from the dishwasher. I put it in the dishwasher to clean it. Okay, all right, okay. Maybe she was telling the truth. I'm not here to judge, right? So I just processed that return. that was just one of the things. Another one of my favorite things that happened was late one evening, I had this really cool couple come in. They were celebrating their wedding anniversary, and they needed my help. They wanted to act out some sort of kidnapping scene. And they needed me in so that I wouldn't call the police, right? So the husband, he's like, I just want to tie her up in here. I just want to get her tied up. And then if I can, I just want to throw her on my shoulders and bring her outside and throw her in that truck. So I'm like, all right, okay. Let me just make sure we're all consensual in this, right? So I asked her, you want this, ma'am? She's like, yes, yes. So the next thing I see is she's gagged up at the mouth, hands behind her back, right? And I mean, eyes just big and sparkly. I haven't ever seen a couple be this excited and this giddy, right? I'm loving this. And so he picks her up, throws her over his shoulder, and I mean, he walks out that store, and he threw her in that truck like he was the world's greatest lover, all right? And I'm like, hell yeah, you are the world's greatest lover, sir. And that was just one instance. That was just one thing, right? Okay, the world's greatest lover. Give it up for that man. But yeah, that was just one thing. I had other strange encounters. There were times in which I found used condoms on the sales floor in those taboo sections. It was those times. And then we also had theft because, I mean, people steal everywhere, right? But it was what they were stealing. So the most common thing that people stole, it was anal plugs. Right? And so I was like, okay, but I get it, because you that's safe. I'm not here to judge. I want you to be safe. So I mean, when I first started working at the sex store, I longed to work at the daiquiri shop. I'm like, this is a bit too much. But working there, what it did was it allowed me to deal with my own stigmas surrounding sex, right? So what I did was I began to date myself intimately. There we go. Let's do it. So that consisted of me wearing lingerie under my regular clothes, right? 'Cause I want to feel sexy. I'm sexy. Let me feel sexy. Yes. And so then I even went so far as to purchase another vibrator. I did. Can I tell you guys the name of my vibrator? Okay. Okay. Well, okay, I am a lesbian, but my first vibrator, it was a guy. And just put that out there. And his name was Dr. Seuss. Yes, his name was Dr. Seuss, but the reason why I named him Dr. Seuss was because it was a neon green. It was neon green, and it was shaped kind of like, like a magical wand, right? Or like a teaching stick. And every time Dr. Seuss served me those green eggs and ham. Yes. And I mean, I broke him eventually, but for all the right reasons. Thank God to Dr. Seuss. So I said, you know what? I'm going to be to my community what I am to myself. I'm going to be their local and friendly sex cheerleader. So that's what I started doing. I started encouraging them, and I feel like I became, you ever seen Waterboy? Okay, so I became Rob Snyder, right? There you go. And so I'm in the back of their heads telling them, you can do it. You can do it all night long. That was me. And I do not mean to toot my own horn, but I do mean to toot my own horn. I believe that I am responsible for at least two unplanned pregnancies, right? I got some love childs under my belt. And so that was that. And I sold products to women who were in their 40s. And mind you, I'm 23. And I'm selling products to women who were in their 40s. And this is their first vibrator, their first time taking that adventure, right? So for me, the job, I was not just selling toys. I was educating and I was encouraging my community to explore their bodies and to explore those desires, right? 'Cause we need that. And so, I mean, I have to ask you again, was my job really odd? Hell yeah, that job was odd. I worked at a sex store. What are you talking about? Yeah, that's an odd job. I worked at a sex store. It's totally odd. But I mean, it was odd, but no, it wasn't odd. It was heroic and liberating, right? There we go. And so what I realized is that I rushed into being sexually active. Like I'm sure many of us probably have. And so that led to me chasing all of these expectations. But now, after having worked there, going on my journey, I do not take sex lightly with partners anymore, right? I need to be pleased. So we're here for my pleasure, yours too, but I need to be pleased. Yes, thank you. And I feel 100% comfortable saying that. Totally comfortable saying that, totally comfortable exploring my sexuality. And I sincerely, sincerely, sincerely wish the same for all of us here, right? So I'm gonna leave you guys with this. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it all night long. Thank you.